On today's Hey Cuz podcast episode, we speak with Annette Williams. She is a passionate storyteller, entrepreneur, and life coach. Annette first made her mark as a writer during the Gulf War, later publishing Dear Younger Me and A Fresh Start. As the former owner of a Pretty and Plus boutique, she empowered women through fashion and confidence coaching. Today, Annette continues to inspire with her creativity, dedication to family, and commitment to uplifting all. Family, please help me welcome Annette Williams. Welcome to Hey Cuz Podcast, your favorite cuz cast where you are either a real cousin or a play cousin. I'm Sylvia J, and on today we have a guest, a very special guest. Her name is Annette Williams, and she is an entrepreneur, an author, a dedicated life coach who coaches women and empowers women, not just women. I don't want to say she just coaches women, but let's just say she empowers women through fashion and through encouraging them to have confidence. We were talking earlier. She says that she comes from a big family. Hint, hint, I come from a big family. So you'll have to figure out whether she's my real cousin or a play cousin. Welcome, 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 Annette Williams, Annette Dink Williams.
That's my Lake Rim name.
Welcome to Hey Cuz Podcast. Hey Cuz.
Hey. So when I'm in Wilmington, if I hear someone call me by that name, I have to take a double take and make sure because they're from Lake Rim. Because those are the only people that know me by that name from Lake Rim and Fayetteville, North Carolina.
I love it. I love it. So how you been, cuz?
Been doing great.
Been doing great.
All is well. All is well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. I wanted to ask you a few questions. I had a lot of my own questions, and then I had to reduce them down to just sort of focus on who you are as an entrepreneur, because we are in such a season that people are needing good guidance on, coming up with concepts or even just the nerve. And there's a segment that I'm planning on doing, which is about encouraging people to have the courage to do it. We've been self-employed for 27 years, my husband and I. And we work in our family business, and it comes with its challenges, but it also comes with its rewards. And so that's the only part of that I can identify with you. But I don't know anything about, dressing women. I like to dress. I like to see, women dressed, but I love the uniqueness of plus size. My grandmother was a plus sized woman, and honey, she would be dressed to the, what do they say? Dressed to the nines all the time. And she would tell us about how we needed to gird ourselves and wear girdles. Lord rest my grandma's soul. Grandma, we're not wearing girdles. Somebody's wearing a girdle right now as I speak. But let me tell you, I have seen women who are like my grandmother, and the way that they dress, the way that they look, sometimes a little neater than women who are smaller. So we have a little bit that we can learn from you, no matter what the size is, just about how to wear clothes, because it matters. So I do want to get into more of that before we even talk about who you are in ministry and other things. But what inspired you to do Pretty Plus Boutique, and how has your vision evolved over the years?
So let me say this about Pretty and Plus Boutique first. I did close Pretty and Plus Boutique in 2022, but let me go back. It was open for 10 years.
Okay.
For 10 years. And what inspired me was, at the time I worked in the corporate world. For 10 years, I worked in the corporate world. My background is in substance abuse. I was the lead admissions counselor for a local substance abuse rehab.
Okay.
And then I moved on to being a military liaison for that same substance abuse rehab. And the reason why they chose me for that particular position is because at the time, and I still am, a military dependent. My husband and I say and I, because I was in the military with him as well as a dependent. But my husband is retired from the Army. And so that's how I ended up in that position. And so my son was in high school at the time, and I had to travel a lot. And so my husband got deployed. Even though I had an adult daughter, I thought, I can't travel as much as I do and have my son at home, with my daughter. So at that moment, I decided that I was going to end my corporate job.
Mhm.
I've always been into fashion. And it goes way back to when I was a little girl. And that's a whole nother story about how I ended up loving fashion.
Mhm.
Um, so I decided that I wanted to start the boutique because I love fashion. And that's what I did. I planned it out. I got me a business coach, a local business coach, and they coached me the how and, what to do. And I did it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I enjoyed it for that season. And I closed it because I actually helped my husband open his business.
Okay.
He has a car dealership in Nevada, North Carolina
Okay.
that I assist him with. And I am his notary. He just called me wanting me to come and notarize some documents. I said,
What?
I have an important event.
What's
I'm
what?
about to be on the radio.
Okay, we're gonna be on Hey Cuz. So you guys are a family business. How is it
Yes,
working
yes.
with your husband? How? Be honest as
Okay.
you can be on this
I'll be
camera.
honest. I'll be honest. I just stay quiet and I let him tell me what to do, especially when we're in front of a customer.
Uh, right.
I,
That
I stay quiet
that part.
and
Hmm.
and let him take the lead because I can be pretty assertive.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I just kind of let him take the lead and tell me what to do, and I stay quiet. And then later on, I'll say, whatever
Maybe
I
you
wanted to
should.
say.
Right, 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 right. My husband always says, "Look, we duke it out at home, not actually duking it out, but
Right. I
it's just
understand. I
in front
get
of
it. I
people."
completely get it.
In front of people, we're gonna
Right.
play our position. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And
And
then
that's exactly
when
what
it's
I
time
do.
to disagree, we disagree, or we agree to disagree. um
Agree to disagree. That's right.
and that's okay. That's what comes with compromise. I think if more people would just learn to in front of people, then there would be less drama in them streets.
I I agree. I'm pretty good at being quiet though. I'm pretty good at that.
You're
Mhm.
very poised, I will say, by the way. So, and strong opinion is not what I gather from you, but let me ask you, because you did answer my next question, which was going to be just about the entrepreneur piece to it. Are you still consulting women? Are you still consulting people in fashion? Are you in the fashion business in any shape, form? Do you miss it?
I do not miss it. And
Why
I
is that?
do have um I think my season was over
Hmm.
and I stayed a little bit longer than what I should have. And so I don't miss it, but I still have my fashion friends.
Hmm.
I still love fashion shows. If there's one local, I'll attend it. I love it still. I think I always love fashion.
Hmm.
Fashion,
Hmm.
it's always going to be my passion.
Have you thought about
So
being a fashion consultant?
no, I have not. No, I have not because let me say this. I'm older in the fashion industry and I'm also I believe that you can be fully covered and still
Wait,
attractive.
hold up. Hold up. That's the reason. Let me
Yeah,
scooch my
I
chair
believe
up.
that.
Let me scooch my chair up
Move,
because we got to
move,
have a,
move
because
the
we got to
chair
talk about
up.
this.
Move the chair up.
First
I
of
believe
all,
that.
first of all, I don't all disagree with you. I think there's room. I think there's room. I mean, this is not the podcast where I convince Annette Williams to be a fashion consultant to the youth. But let's just say that there's a tide shift and there's always room for um, reasonably dressed.
Hmm.
And there's always a space for it. Let's hope so, because let me tell you, if we all
Yes.
naked, the fashion industry is going to lose.
Listen, I saw a post on Facebook from a local,
If we're all naked, those clothes will go away, way.
right. I saw a post, it was from one of my business coaches. Her post said, put your clothes, she was talking to single folks, but she said, put your, in nothing against single folks. I'm not, throwing any shots or anything like that.
Right.
But the post said, put your clothes on. You're still single. Cover up.
Cover up.
Cover up.
My husband always likes to say, leave something to wonder about. That, well, you know what? We have, and we are entitled to our opinions. I mean, really,
Hmm.
because who can take, that's been your experience. Who can take that away from you? And I love that you have, and there's a time and a place for each kind of fashion. I mean, certainly, no one's going to the beach in a gown,
Right.
but I just think, but should the beach come to the ball in a bathing suit?
That is funny. It's
So,
true though. But
yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah,
see it though. You do see
yeah,
the beach
yeah,
at the
yeah.
ball.
Not
I was
knocking,
looking
not
at the
knocking
latest.
anyone if you have it to use it. I mean, I could say a lot. I have a teenager, so I could say a lot that I won't say. But
I was looking at the latest award show. I don't know which award show it was, and they were
mhm.
kind of judging the outfits. But the beach came to the ball in a lot of the outfits, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah, I know
I wouldn't
exactly the
dare.
awards show. And as a matter of fact, Sherry Underwood spoke to that on her show. If you
Okay,
get a chance to look up her monologue, she when you get off of this call, I'm telling you, she
let
really
me write it
put it
down.
out there. And she is, known to be a funny woman. And we there's someone that I knew who there's a mutual there. But I will say
Hmm.
that I was really shocked that she said what she said.
Hmm.
It wasn't negative. The way that she put it was very gracefully. And
Right.
it's like, okay, so what are you going to do with that now? And she named the people and she said the things. And it's like, hey, you're much brighter than that. But it's funny that you bring that up, even though I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But now that we
Hmm.
are, I will say that it kind of makes you wonder what impact are we having in the world as brown women. I think
Hmm.
that I encountered a man today in McDonald's, and he was an older gentleman, and he just looked at me and said, you look mighty happy. I said, well, I'm pretty much joyful most of the time.
Right.
um and I don't want to put, race on anything, but I will say that I think that he walked away from that conversation, sort of surprised that he didn't see what he or didn't hear back from me what he may have expected to hear. And then we had a really good conversation about faith,
Hmm.
some things that we really agreed on, and then we had a laugh after it was said and done. And I think that sometimes the way, not just what we put on our physical bodies, but what we
Hmm.
put on our spirit sometime can
Right.
have an impact on how people view us and what they expect will come from us. And
That is correct.
it can be a deterrent, or it can welcome them in. So
I agree.
whatever you put on your spirit, whatever you put on your physical body should be something that you are willing to attract and entertain.
Agreed.
So I think that
Agreed.
you're in the right space with that. Thanks for listening to me. What do I know about fashion? That was the point, right?
Hmm. But that is what I brought to the fashion industry, and even
Hmm.
in all the fashion shows
Hmm.
that I participated in, I made sure it was beautiful, but it was moderate.
Moderate.
Beautiful,
Moderation
but
is good.
moderate.
And then, every now and then,
Hmm.
we want to be sexy, if that's the
Hmm.
word. You don't want to look like you. I remember someone said something about people being on the beach in full suits passing out pamphlets. Like, nobody
Oh
wants to
my
be a part
God,
of your
no. No,
organization
no, no,
if
no,
you are
no, no,
dressed up
no.
like that, giving out pamphlets.
No.
And
No.
I laughed at it. I thought, yeah, that's right. So this is not attacking people, but
No.
what I loved about my grandmother is that she was one of the elders in the church. My grandfather was a minister, and he was an associate pastor at a church in the same area where your husband, well, in Leland. And
Hmm.
to be specific, Mako, North Carolina. And
Hmm.
my grandmother was always, they talk about the elder women should teach the younger women how to be appropriate in certain settings. And my grandmother was always very cool with how she approached younger women, especially when it came to their attire. She wasn't attacking you. She'd say
Oh no.
something like, "Oh, I love the way that dress looks on you, but let me tell you something. I have a slip that I bet if you wear A slip. Does anybody remember a slip? It's kind of like pantyhose. I have a slip and a girdle that would go really nice in it. I think it would fit you. I think you should
Hmm.
try that on with that dress next time, or try it on when you get home and see if you like it. If you like it, you can keep it. And it was life changing for the woman.
Hmm.
It was also life changing for the people that were around her, listening to her interact with this person, because there's a way to say a thing.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I could really talk to you on and on about so much because you're so easy to talk to. But
Hmm.
there's something that I really want to hear from you, because being an author is no easy task. I have a cousin that, came on the podcast. She's an author, a memoir, so to speak. And I think this is what yours is as well. But can you
Yes.
share the journey behind your memoir? Dear
Yes,
Younger
I
Me.
can. I can. Actually, I wrote it in like 2008, and I kind of tucked it away in the filing cabinet. So one day I was cleaning out my filing cabinet and I found it. After I had tucked it away, I did go to a class on self-publishing, and still, I just kind of put everything together in the filing cabinet. And I think fast forward to like 2023, 2022 maybe. I was going through my filing cabinet and I came through the book that I had handwritten, the class that I went to self-publish, and all these other things. And so when I pulled it out, I said, what, why haven't I done anything with this? What am I going to do with this? So during this time, I had met a young man. I met him online when I had Pretty and Plus Boutique, when I couldn't find local vendors to do like my, what do you call them? I'll just say my advertising. I found him online because he had boosted his business online, but he was a college student at North Carolina A&T. So I said, okay, we have a big event going on this weekend. I can't get in contact with my people. Um, would you be able to like create this for me and get it to me in Wilmington by this time? So he says
Okay.
yes. So I met him that way. And so later, I noticed he had posted his book. He had published a book. But what I
Okay.
didn't know is that that was his third book. And he was a student. He was a student and he was on his third book. And so I said, well, you know what? He published his book. Let me contact him and see, if he can kind of guide me a little bit, because I felt
Push you
like I
along.
needed some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I needed someone to kind of hold my hand.
Hmm.
And so I contacted him and he was like, wow, I can't believe you contacted me. I have a publishing company. I did not know that. I said, I knew you did
Bye.
business cards and
Wow.
banners and that type thing. But he said, no, I have an actual publishing company.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow. So I mean,
And he
he
was younger,
literally,
and you were thinking, oh,
yes, ma'am. Well,
sometimes we're so.
I've learned through my millennial children that
Hmm.
I can actually learn from them.
Yes, yes.
Because there was a
Pride has to
season.
go that way so that purpose can come this way.
That's right. There was a season where I felt like, I raised you guys, you don't have any advice for me, or
Yeah.
but I had to learn that my children, they have so much to offer, especially my oldest daughter. She has taught me a lot in business as well, because she's a business owner.
How
But she
about
has
that?
gone, yeah, she's gone to a whole nother level, and I am so proud of her. And I had to learn to listen to her. So this
Yes.
young man, he was amazing. He like made a schedule. This is what we're gonna do. Each
Oh,
Monday, this is what we're gonna do, and this is what time we're gonna do it. And I'm over here like, wow, I love it. So
you
he
know,
did.
I'm sorry. I
Oh
thought there
no,
was a
you
lag
go ahead.
there.
Hmm.
We can learn so much from just operating in humility.
Yes,
People are
absolutely.
willing to share with you. People will basically, they say you can lead a horse to the pasture, but you can't make them drink. People will lead you to greatness. if you just express have a little humility for a little bit.
I did not know that the Lord was connecting me to greatness. I thought he was just a young guy at North Carolina A&T, and he's doing his thing. Well, he graduated, and he went on to get his master's, and he just sent me an invitation. He's going to be celebrating. I think it's in November. He's going to be Dr. Javen Richardson.
I love that. I love that. So
Hmm.
what is with the book, because you had a follow-up book to that. What is
I
the
did.
what is the hope just from, Dear Younger Me? I was talking about how in one of my interviews, I can't remember which one I was interviewing, um, remember the person that I was interviewing, but I was talking about how I used to write letters to myself when I would get down in the dumps. I would just literally write a letter to myself. Hey, Sylvia, this is this, and as if I were writing it to someone and giving them advice. And then later on, go back and read it. And you have written a book called Dear Younger Me. You hear that expression all the time that people will say, if I could just tell my younger self this, that, or the third. What is your hope that readers will take away from that book? What was your hope that they would take away?
So for me, even though my child, and this is a picture, it's kind of backwards here, but this is
How
the book
pretty.
Dear Younger Me, and
Okay.
that's me. I think I was in maybe the first or second grade in this picture. But even though my childhood was a very long time ago, it's still relevant today because there's still children, there's still adults
Mhm.
that are experiencing now what I experienced back then. But at the same time, I am a living witness that you can be an overcomer. And not only can you be an overcomer, but you can thrive. So yeah, that's what I want them to take away from it is that, your past doesn't have to hold you in bondage. You can be delivered from it. And I was
Yes.
definitely delivered from my past, but at the same time, because someone had asked me, okay, you had what I consider a dysfunctional childhood, and nothing against my parents, but it wasn't a good childhood. So in the new book, and this is it,
A
A
fresh
Fresh
start.
Start,
Mhm.
it continues Dear Younger Me to show, even as an adult, a lot of the things that I went through in my childhood affected me. And that is okay because I had to figure out, so how do I get past these things? And that's what I want people to take away from it. To get past it and become a productive adult in society and learn how to deal with your triggers when they come and
Mm.
even grow past them.
Yeah.
Even grow past them and learn how to deal with them when they come because they may come until
Yes.
you
They
get
will.
past it.
They will. They
Yeah.
will. Before I let you go, there's one other question I want to ask, especially since you talked about triggers, and then we're going to talk about where we can get
Hmm.
your books, since you're an author of plural books. Great. So then, for anybody that wants to purchase your book, we've put the link in the description so that you can link up with Annette and get this book, Dear Younger Me. The last question I wanted to ask you was spinning off of what you said about triggers. There was a point that I had heard someone say in a sermon once that if you're still crying about it, you're not over it. And I thought, if I'm crying about it, that's because I have a memory. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to that? Speak to that. Because I think sometimes people tend to make those who have had an experience that caused them to be victimized or hurt. I mean, I have a testimony as a kid, um,
Mm-hmm.
at a point in my preteen years where I was violated,
Mm-hmm.
and I went through.
I
And there are
think for
moments
me,
that I'm sorry, there are moments that I will, it will come back to me, what all I dealt with, the trauma. And it doesn't mean that I haven't overcome it. Thank you, Lord. But it just simply means that I remember that I'm an overcomer. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they're tears of joy.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to get spiritual.
That's all right.
Um, this is 2017 had to be one of the worst years of my life, or I felt it was at the time. Um, my husband, I don't know if he was in Afghanistan or if he was in Kuwait. One of my things was I never wanted to be alone. I never knew how to be alone. Um, my mom passed away when I was 16. I moved in with my sister. I got married when I was 18, and I've been with my husband ever since. So I've never lived single. I've never lived alone. So this year, all of my children moved away. My husband was working overseas. My dog died.
Oh,
My father passed away. It was just a terrible year for me. And I remember I was in my prayer closet and I was crying out to the Lord. I said, Lord, I don't want to be alone. I never wanted to be alone. So, how did I end up here? How did I end up being so alone? And I was lonely on top of that. I was
mm-hmm.
lonely
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Because there's a
And
difference.
yes, there's a complete difference
You can be
between
in
being
a room full of
alone.
people and be lonely.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But I heard the Holy Spirit say so clearly to me, this is where I want you. This is where I want you alone with me. And that was like a defining moment for me where I was in one of those spaces. I didn't want to go out to eat alone. I didn't want to go to no event alone. I didn't want to do anything alone. But that year, I learned how to get past that trigger and that fear of being alone because I was what I would I had a I'm going to say a spirit of rejection about me growing up, a spirit of abandonment about me without telling everything that's in the books, a
Mm-hmm.
spirit of abandonment. You know, I felt abandoned, I felt rejected. I had all those things going on. So anytime I was alone, you know, I would feel like, you know, why do I have to end up being alone
Yeah,
type thing going
everything
on.
was just coming
So
in.
yeah. hmm
Mm-hmm.
So I had that defining moment. So when I have those triggers, I had to feel that pain. That's what I wanted to say. I had to go through that pain and actually feel it. As a matter of fact, I was dealing with a family member it's been a few weeks now, and they were having a moment. So I told them, I asked them, I said, what are you feeling right now? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is, you need to feel that so that you can get
Mm-hmm.
past it.
Mm-hmm. Annette, I want to thank you for coming on the show, Elder
Yes,
Annette Williams, as you are
yes.
known by several. Thank you for coming on Hey Cuz podcast. I will say that Annette is actually, drum roll, she is my play cousin. But
Love it.
I want her to be a real cousin. I'm gonna ask God if I can make her a real cousin. God, please, 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 can I have her as a real cousin?
You can.
Yeah,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for having me on
You
Hey Cuz podcast. I am
you
so excited of
you
what
are
God is going to do.
Thank you so much. You are so welcome. And I hope that you will come back. We're going to share your book on heycuzpodcast.com and we're going to keep
Yes,
up
ma'am.
with you. And so we send out a newsletter. As a matter of fact, for those of you who are watching, if you want to become part of our extended family, you can go right now to heycuzpodcast.com and click on the link where it says join the family. And that way you can stay connected with all the people that we have here on the podcast and find out what they have going on in their respective lives. And I just appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having
So
me. It is such a privilege and an honor to be on with you.
thank you. Well, I tell you, until next time, you know what we say. Bye, cuz.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Hey, everyone. It's Annette Williams. Thank you for joining us on Hey Cuz podcast with Olivia J.
Thank you for joining this episode of the Hey Cuz podcast with me, your host, Olivia J. I hope that you will like,
subscribe, and share. Don't forget to post your comments. We'd love to hear from you.